Hi everyone, Aces up here. Thanks for joining me for Plays of the Week, January 13th, 2013 edition. Kicking things off here, hand submitted by Lee. Thanks for that. $10 richer. Remember, just submit a hand, and if it's shown on Plays of the Week, we send you $10. Easy money. If you aren't sure how to send hands, shoot us a message and we'll help you out. Lee here is in the big blind and there's a late position limp. Looks a bit fishy, but let's see what happens. Small blind comes along. Not a great flop, but Lee bets here. Don't mind it. Firstly, if we check in the pre-flop limper bets, well, we'll have to fold since we won't have odds to call. But by stabbing here, gives us a chance to take down the pot, and we do have a gutser, so it's really a semi-bluff, though we don't really have too many outs, do we? But I guess there's some potential, depending on what happens, to maybe rep a flush card if it hits and so forth. Remember too, it is just a limper and a small blind. Certainly no reason to suspect a big hand pre-flop, of course, and a flop that could easily have missed our opponents here. We are pretty short stacked though, so it makes things a bit awkward and some concern here when the small blind calls. Did I say concern? I meant joy. Turns the nuts. Makes me feel lucky just watching this. Fire again for value on the turn. Pretty good size. Keeps him in and allows for a nice easy river jam that's only one half of the pot. And okay, the player called the flop and the turn with king high. Fitting name, Dud Max. Okay, nice hand. Next up, just a fun hand here. There's no particular order this week, by the way, just 5 interesting or fun hands. This one I raised from the hijack and the cutoff mini 3-bets. See if you can work out what we have here. I call, king 3-3 flop goes check, bet, call, turn, unlikely to have changed anything, goes check check, and river, the queen, I lead small, and villain jams. Okay, so it went check, call, flop, check, check, turn on the 4. Now the queen comes, and I bet small, and our friend here jams. What's he saying he has? Pocket queens here? I'm in the tank for quite a long time here, and eventually make a brave call. Does he have it? Nope, he has the jack high. Gotta love the hero call here with quadrella. High score and slow roll of the week for quads versus the jack high. Number 3, hand from Sophie. Really like this hand. Interesting blind versus blind dynamic. Apparently a bit of history between them, so that comes into play. The limp and the check, pretty standard stuff so far. Here's where it gets interesting. Top pair, but a monotone board. Opponent bets, there's a bomb in a bus, what do you do? Well, Sophie takes a thin line here, and I think it's great. You've got a blind versus blind dynamic, and top pair with some history to boot. I think the conditions warrant this inducive play. It's kind of an irritation raise, and I think one that won't get a lot of credit. And bang, there's the re-raise. Like the call now, let him hang himself. Turn, bet, call, river, strap yourself in, call, and a very nice hand. I guess our opponent here turned his hand into a bluff, and we got max value. Reminds me of this hand I had the other day in terms of history and blind versus blind dynamic. Raising a call, and just loving the flop. I got a player from the school of non-believers in a blind versus blind dynamic with top pair, aka the nuts. Value bet the flop. Turn, well, I've sensed the very obvious float from our opponent, so in an attempt to get a little bit more money in the pot, I opt for the check raise here. He actually picked up hearts, and on the river, FML, but did get it in around a 75% favourite there. I think in the blind versus blind battles, sometimes players get a bit carried away and spaz out a bit because they just think that in a heads-up pot, their opponent's never going to have anything. Add a little history to that, and you've got a good recipe for getting some value. Number 2, another good hand, actually from Cash Game. Andrea raises the jacks from early, gets 3-bet, but it is by a player on the button, and apparently a lot of history again in this hand. Few options, but check calls the flop, think it's okay. Turn, bit of a scare card for everyone, so it goes check check, then river, villain bets after a check. Yuck. Could he have been 3-betting light enough to have a 7 in his hand? Is he value betting thin? He shouldn't have hearts because he would have bet turn. Can we call? Shazam. Sexy stuff. Gets me excited. Turns his hand into a bluff and whacks it. Take it down. Well played, sir. Remember, the hands aren't in order of magnificence this week, but hopefully you've enjoyed these hands or I've sparked a thought in your mind that might help your game in some way. Finishing off with a $1 PokerStars tourney, a hand from Joseph, where he has the ace-10 of hearts in late position, raises and the small blind defends. Wow, big flop here. Definitely some interesting factors to consider. How should we proceed in this hand? Well, let us know what you think with a comment below. Make sure you subscribe and check out the Facebook page so you don't miss weekly giveaways to boost your bankroll. Fill you in next episode with how Joseph played this hand and why it got a bit nasty. Join me then. This has been Aces Up for pokernerve.com. Thanks for watching.